Have you ever gotten together, hooked up with any of the Army?
팬들하고 혹시 사적으로 만나신 적이 있었는지요?
Explain what hooked up means. Come on.
본적이 아니라 사적으로 살짝 만나신 적이라도 있는지.
Not.
그죠?
No.
Being the most sought-out K-pop group today, BTS indeed landed a pretty good spot in the center of everyone's attention. Because of this, there are a lot of people who want to hear about what the boys have to say about certain topics. This, of course, means that the 7-member boy group must do interviews one after the other, especially during the promotion of their newly released songs. This is certainly true when the boys released their mega hit songs Butter and Permission to Dance during the beginning of the year. And since the songs are in English, it was natural for BTS to promote it as well in the US, which also means they have to do virtual interviews with American hosts and shows. Well, we all know how some hosts tend to be disrespectful and just plain rude, and it seems like it doesn't really matter if you're a multi-awarded, Grammy-nominated, and phenomenal K-pop boy group, because when people are rude, they are just rude, no matter who you are. Of course, the boys of BTS have plenty of experience dealing with this kind of people, but still, answering rude questions is the last thing these artists want. Also, everyone knows that BTS are always professional and polite, so it's not every day you see them look disturbed or offended because of certain questions people thought was okay to ask them. If you want to hear more, then let me tell you more about the rudest questions BTS was asked and answered. And before we start, let me warn you at least that some of these questions are just a no-no. Okay, let's begin. We all know that there is a big difference when it comes to culture between the US and Asia, specifically South Korea. This also means that the way the entertainment industry works can also be slightly different, especially when it comes to people's personalities. This is why the boys often encounter people who are rather, quote, interesting to say the least. This was what happened when the boys had an interview with Open House Party. Well, the question was for the most part simple and not harmful, but what the interviewer did after he asked the boys, his inquiry was very rude if you'd ask me, and even the boys were obviously offended. It started when the interviewer asked BTS what they were the favorite thing they put butter on. RM responded giddily, answering McDonald's since the BTS meal was just released during that time. His members were shocked at his answer, and even his members found it funny. That didn't last long though, when the interviewer thought it was the right time to share his own opinion by answering that he likes putting butter on top of another butter, and even did a gesture as if he was eating it, which of course not as elegant as how J-Hope did it on Butter MV. Well, we can assume that he might be trying to copy the particular scene since Jungkook tried to comment that his Hyung actually did the same in the music video. But still, does he really have to do that while interviewing the boys? Even RM didn't find it very appealing when he told the host, quote, "That's enough." Huh. After hearing this, the boys were obviously taken aback, especially when the host pulled up 2 blocks of butter and stacked one on top of the other. Even fans didn't like what the man did, as he received a huge amount of backlash after the interview was uploaded on YouTube, to the point that a specific part of the interview was edited out from the original video. Next up, it has also been very common for the boys to be asked unusual questions that turn out to be rude, especially when they are promoting in the US. And since we're talking about, quote, unusual questions, we cannot forget to talk about that one time Ellen DeGeneres thought that asking the boys whether they had hooked up with armies was okay. I know a lot of fans have heard this story countless times, but it deserves to be mentioned, since even though it was a long time ago, the way Ellen just went straight to asking them personal and malicious questions still bothers me.
We're back with BTS, and first of all, let's have introductions. Introduce yourselves, please.
The show started out well and lively, to say the least, and fans can even see how ecstatic the boys are to be on the show. Things went downhill though when Ellen asked the question, to which RM replied, quote, "We are doing it right now."
We are doing it right now.
No, you know what I mean.
The leader even motioned to some other fans in the audience as he attempted to brush off the rude question, but the host was not having it, and instead of going with RM and move to the next topic and just forget that she was being straight up weird, Ellen continued even further and asked, "You know what I mean, have you all ever dated one of your armies?" The Golden Magnet instantly shook his head off to answer the question, with V giving a straight no to verbally dismissing it. This wasn't the end of this though, because when the boys came back the following year to promote another song, the host once again asked them very personal questions like whether any of the members are in a relationship. Seems like RM had enough and was not having any of it when he answered saying, "Ellen, thanks to you, every Korean knows what the word hookup means now because last time you asked that question." This was clearly the leader's way of reminding the host about her past behavior, and since then the boys had not returned to the show, which ARMYs were very happy about. Moving on, there was another time when BTS had to deal with a rude reporter during the press conference for their album Map of the Soul Persona. Mind you, this was during the time there were plagiarism accusations against the boys, and instead of talking more about the upcoming album, the reporter thought it was more interesting to talk about the issue instead, which didn't really sit well with the boys. Just like any rude question, the reporter actually started off normally asking, quote, "I was curious if you were inspired by other works for your previous albums outside of the latest one." But his following question somehow confused the boys as he pointedly asked whether Blood, Sweat, and Tears was specifically inspired by other works. He belatedly revealed he wanted to know more details about the issue with French photographer Bernard Vasson had claimed that BTS's artwork for their album The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, and their music video for Blood, Sweat, and Tears copied his photographs. However, instead of providing details about where they stand on the issue, BTS's Suga shut down the reporter's question by saying Big Hit Entertainment was taking care of the matter. Many voiced their displeasure about how the reporter acted because can you even imagine what BTS felt when someone just randomly asked them such a serious question? Not to mention it was not the right forum for them to answer that. Thankfully, the boys were quick enough to dodge this kind of question and remain professional as they do so. Speaking of dodging these rude and out-of-place questions, there are other instances where the boys must deal with other people's bad vibes who want nothing but to rain on their parade. This is mainly because the members do face some questions that are tricky to answer, and sometimes these curious inquiries come out as nothing but rude. Fortunately though, BTS had somehow developed an ability to find their way out of the awkward situations that follow. For example, we all know that ARMYs are one of the biggest fandoms today. It also goes without saying that all these legions of fans are one of the most powerful and dedicated fans today, so it was only natural for people to be curious of what the boys had to say about their supporters. Access Hollywood did just that when they asked BTS about their quote, intensely loyal fans, and tried to squeeze gossip out of the members by asking,
"I've seen it. How do you guys deal with just the girls? How do you deal with it?"
As usual, the polite boys of BTS tried to give the reporter the benefit of the doubt and answered lightly without really taking the question as offensive. But when the reporter kept digging as if the fans ever got aggressive and ended up hurting the members though, RM stepped in to cut off the conversation by shedding light on himself instead. The leader answered saying that it is never the fans who hurt him but only himself, leading the interview to move on from the topic of their fans. Last but definitely not the least, ARMYs think that asking BTS who they want to collab with is rude, since in recent, almost every host throws this question whenever they have the chance to, and fans have a very good reason why they think this should be stopped. During previous years, the boys had been very welcoming to these kinds of questions, and even willingly answered the artist they want to have a collaboration with, and we all know throughout the years the boys indeed had participated in countless projects with American stars, but fans thought enough was enough. The reason is not just that BTS has done many collaborations already, rather fans believe BTS do not benefit from collaborations with other artists anymore. Instead, it seems to be the other way around now, because compared to the first time they tried their luck in the US music scene, we can all agree that the boys are now, if the most, then one of the most successful acts in the world. As BTS continues to skyrocket into stardom, we can't deny the fact that they will definitely have to deal with a lot of rude questions in the future, and with that, I know ARMYs hope that people won't be as rude as the previous ones, and just stick to what are things you are supposed to ask during interviews to avoid any awkward situations. What do you guys think about these questions? Let us know in the comments down below, and as always, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel for more. Also, don't forget to hit the notification button so you won't miss an upload from us. See you next time. Bye!